Alright, so this is part 3 of my 100% tutorial. So thus far in the run, we've completed up through Industrial Park, so we now have cruise boosting, which is the main thing that I really like about the routing in this game. Not specifically in 100%, although it's really good in 100%, is that we centralize the route around getting the quickest 41 spatulas out of the 100 in the game to make the rest of the spatulas in the game really, really fast. And of course all of the rest of the socks and stuff. Okay, should unpause timer. And this is being recorded on separate days, by the way, in case the timer looks off compared to the other two parts. So immediately after you have beaten the Industrial Park, over here, warp to SpongeBob's closet. Alright. So in SpongeBob's house, you can do these bubble bowl boosts through the doors. Let me see if I can demonstrate it. Not like that. You have to basically press the R button and the bowl button on the same frame, kind of like cruise boosting, but through these doors instead, and with the R button. I can't seem to get them, but... Okay, that was one of them in the opposite direction. But yeah, the basic idea is that if you get 2 of these bubble bowl boosts through these doors, it's pretty optimal. And saves a little bit of time if you do it. So, hit this button before you get a cruise boost, because you're gonna be screwed over by text boxes if you don't. And yeah, just double jump spin for the sock. You can slam if you want to, if you need to, if you don't get a fast enough cruise boost or whatever. Alright, so warp to the top of the pineapple because we're gonna enter downtown. And this is the big reason why we mess around with doing Dream early stuff, because we're saving the entirety of downtown for Awakening. Also, that cutscene skip saves like a second. You can get one where you bowl into the taxi pad, but it's like pixel perfect, so I don't recommend it. Alright. You can go for that if you want to, or just come over here and cruise boost. Alright, so now, after you get your cruise boost, come over to this awning. I guess like if you did the puff boost, you would be over here. Come over to the awning and just bash up with the wheel. And I guess if you're down here, you would go to the side and then go up. You can also cruise boost on this side and just kind of bash and go over that way to get the wheel. But I don't like cruise boosting on this side, and the bash is a little weird sometimes. So I don't know, just do what you're comfortable with, I guess. Come over here, get this wheel. Now we're gonna approach the cutscene so we get stuck by this stack of tikis on the left side over here, because it saves us some movement from the single statue. Try to hit all these buttons with the cruise boost. It's really important that you keep your cruise boost here. Specifically in 100%, it's important. Okay, I can't hit this button, but I'm going to try to show you what it should look like if you get them all first try. Approach this button from this side, and kind of, you want to like drift off to the left into the out of bounds stand. Not like that, I'm messing it up today. Alright, that time I was too far. But yeah, the goal should be that you end off this button sequence by getting grabbed by the hand here. I should have split, but I didn't split. So you can either grab the spatula here for Tiki's Go Boom with a cruise boost, which you would do it like here-ish. Or you can just climb up the statue and get it this way. Which is what I do in runs, because I'm bad at grabbing it with a cruise boost. And you can just cruise boost after and then it's fine. So pick a side on, by the way, you want to hit that Thunder Tiki when you go up, if you're grabbing it this way. So you have like spots around here to cruise boost without the Thunder Tiki being in the way. Now come over here inside the broken building. We're gonna get the sock. And turn around. Jump up on this trash can and bash. And then come over here. You want to like double jump while the gate is going down. Just save some time waiting for the gate. Yeah, come over here. Get this sock. If that jump is a little difficult for you, you can aim more on like... Well, you can set it up this way as well. And you can aim more on this side of the building if you need to. Yeah, there's a couple strats for this actually. You can even use these floating teepees if you want. But that's a little bit more precise. I don't really like doing that. So yeah, get the saw. Come on over here. Yeah, bowl into the clam. Try to do it a little closer than I did to save more time, but yeah, it's not worth the time trying to set up your angle so you go straight into the gate. It's just not worth it because you have to turn like all the way around and go way out of your way to do that. So just bowl into the clam. And here we have sea wheel. I usually go for the fast cycle here, but I don't usually get it. If that chuck gives you problems, you can shoot it with a cruise bubble, but if you do that, you're basically accepting that you're not going to get the fast cycle. Alright, I missed the thing. That's fine. Alright, so this is a little bit slow. That's alright. We're gonna get the spatula, and now we're gonna... So if you're wondering why we're splitting up downtown, it's because we have the hand enabled right now, and we're gonna do like all of this stuff with the hand enabled. And if you see down here in downtown 2, we're gonna disable the hand in downtown 2, so we need to split it up to do it like this. So there's a backup method to disable the hand if you aren't a fan of doing the lighthouse disable, and I'll go over that in JF2. But, okay, once you grab the sea needle spatula from Mr. Krabs, go to Cowabungie. And we're going to finish up all of Jellyfish Fields here. You want to cruise boost on this wall right here. It doesn't really matter what side you do it on, but different people have different success with different sides of it. This rock right here is another good spot for cruise boost, but yeah. You can do the dumb bash strat here that saves like 4 seconds, but I choose not to do that. Instead, I just go over here. Bash up here. Okay, so go over this side and get the box. And make sure you get the box, because we're going to be using it later on. You can go for the spatula animation skip here if you want. It saves like 4 seconds, but I don't go for it. Alright, so looking at the splits here, I split up Jellyfish Caves a lot in my splits, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So just use whatever splits you think are necessary for you from Jellyfish Caves. And this section with the sock here, it's not really worth it to try to jump down here. Just kind of stay along the right side and just jump where I do. That bounce is really good, but I kind of messed it up because I wasn't expecting to get it. So yeah, you can either use the melon here to hit that button, or you can like climb on top of the button and... Ooh. Can you not stand on it after you hit it? But yeah, the basic idea is you would climb up on the button and then like turn around quickly and do a belly slam to hit the button, and that saves like half a second, but it's kind of risky because if you fall off you lose a decent chunk of time. Alright. Alright. So yeah, you want to get a cruise boost there. It's very important in jellyfish fields that you be a little bit careful in these text boxes to not get rid of your cruise boost. Because that's like worst case scenario in a place like this. In jellyfish caves here, you can cruise boost on some of these walls if you get hit in here. But yeah, I would just try to stay safe most of the time. Looks like we're on a pretty good cycle here. Now over here, get rid of your cruise boost, and we're going to do Geo clip. So, the way I like to think about this clip is we're trying to get stuck like in here-ish, like more in front of where SpongeBob's facing. Because we want to get stuck in between the rock and the crystal here to L-clip out of the map. So, the way I like to think about it is I set up my camera angle kind of like this. And then I like jump forward and then start holding like forward and right to clip through. Because that usually gives me a pretty good angle here. Also, I forgot to split. But that's fine. So yeah, if you hold straight forward the whole time, it's a lot less likely that you're going to clip through. And you don't want to hold forward and lefts. Like some people have success with that randomly, but I find it really, really consistent to hold forward and right. Alright, and once you clip through, you need to be ready to react to it, because like you need to be able to jump around and land on this little ledge here without falling down. Because the goal with this trick is that over by the melon over there, there's an invisible checkpoint that we're going to trigger by clipping out of the map, because we can't get around this gate as SpongeBob otherwise. But if you fall down here at all without landing on this ledge and getting the checkpoint, you want to, if you don't have a cruise boost, you want to walk over to the spikes behind me and die. So, there's an easier strat to get around here. And I'm probably going to show that instead of the cruise boost strat, if I can get back on the other side of the gate. Alright, so the basic idea is that you would just jump around here and just hit the melon. And that should give you the checkpoint. And then you want to walk over here and just die on the spikes. That should have worked, I think. Slow death animations are a pain. Yeah, that worked. But I can't really show it again unless I, like, reload the level. Because there is a cruise boost strat. So basically you would get a cruise boost and then do the same thing, but you would go, like, straight ahead from, like, where you were jumping and go, like, drown in the goo over there. It's like kind of this direction, but I can't really show it because it's out of bounds. And yeah. So that's basically what you would do if you got a cruise boost there. This strat really isn't that hard. A lot of people think it's harder than it is, but the only real hard part about the trick, in my opinion, is getting the cruise boost once you're out of the wall. but otherwise it's pretty easy. Okay, so once you're over here, come over here and cruise boost right here. And yeah, all this work is for this one sock over here. So yeah, if you were paying attention to the movement here, it's a bash, and then you want to like turn to the left while you're bashing to kind of set up your angle to bash again. Not quite that sharp of an angle. You can also like to get up there easier. You can like bash and like use the melon to get up, not spinning on the melon. Alright, I haven't ever done this strat, so you can use the melon to get up there if it's easier for you, but I just bash. And then you want to come over here. You have to be standing on this little dirt mound here to bash up to this part. Spin on the slide, because spinning on the slides like this gives you a bit more acceleration, I think. So I just choose to do it. Do not get hit here, whatever you do. Alright, so we're gonna get the sock before getting the spatula. Ooh. Yeah, be careful that text box. Do not get that text box. If you stay like more along the right side of these tikis here, you shouldn't be getting the text box. Yeah, it's a pretty hard jump to mess up there if your cruise boost is fast enough. So when you respawn here, I like to cruise boost on this checkpoint. If you don't want to do that, you can come over here and do it on this box instead. Or if you're not doing rock skip, you can come over here to this sign and do it right here. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of using signs to cruise boost. Okay, that was kind of dumb. I'm not gonna go over rock skip here just for the sake of not trying to crowd your brain with stuff, because it's not really required. Just a neat little time saver if you can do rock skip. Press A on all these text boxes here, because it's really easy to get rid of your cruise boost on accident if you press B. On Xbox, that is. That bash around that gate gives me a lot of trouble, but chances are if you're doing this with cruise boosting, you've been doing that bash before. Alright, I'm not going over Drain the Lake clip in this tutorial. But if you can do it, it saves like 40 seconds in this category to do it. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Alright, that was kind of dumb. That was really dumb. Wow, I'm getting amazing RNG today. Oh my god. Alright, so we're gonna get the spatula, and on GameCube and PS2, you want to walk back over the bus stop, because it's faster than warping Mrs. Puff. On Xbox, you can just reload to Drain the Lake, but yeah, on Xbox, PS2, you just want to walk back this way. Hit that guy if you have to. And get the Mrs. Puff text box. Like, don't try and be cool and jump around to save time. Because if you skip the Mrs. Puff text box on GameCube and PS2, once you switch at the bus stop, you're going to get the text box anyway, and you'll just soft lock. So just keep that in mind. Just get the text box. You want a cruise boost here. And come up here. And hit this guy with a bubble roll. If you want to do one less cruise boost in your route, you can, like, once you get over here after, like, assuming you're doing casual during the lake, you would, like, get a cruise boost by crabs, come over here, and instead of switching to Patrick right away, you would just bash up there. And go do the sock first. So yeah, you would get the sock here, and then you would walk back to the bus stop. If you wanted to do one less cruise boost, you would do that before doing during the lake. So. The goal here is that you want to hit 2 of these tikis at a time with 1 cruise bubble, and okay. So it's not possible to hit both, yeah, exactly. It's not possible to hit both of those with 1 cruise bubble, so I would just avoid doing that. That's why you want to go from left to right with the tikis as well. Because optimally, you only use 3 cruise bubbles. So that's the spot where I normally cruise boost. You can do it like right here as well. It's pretty easy. You can walk back to this sign over here and do it if that suits you. Yeah, jump up here. You want to land on that little rock and then jump up to this platform here. It's kind of a weird jump, and if you fall off, it's a pretty decent time loss, but it's not that hard to jump. Yeah, there's a couple different strats you can use to get through here. One way is the way that I just showed you. Another way is you can come up here, and then just jump across this way. Get the sock and then come back over. Also, don't forget this sock. It's kind of easy to forget that sock because it's like on the way in any percent. But yeah, don't forget the sock. Oh wow, that's never happened to me before. This part's pretty self-explanatory. Just don't forget the sock on the slide, and you'll be good. So now at this point, so if you're familiar with the lighthouse disable in Downtown 2, we're going to be doing that in this route, but if you don't want to do the disable that way, then you would just leave the rest of Jellyfish Fields for later at this point. So like you would move on to Rock Bottom at this point if you wanted to not do that hand disable. But in this route I'm just going to show the lighthouse disable. So you can cruise boost on Squidward here to do a pretty fast strat where you just get the spatula right after the cruise boost. If you can't cruise boost off Squidward, you can do it off this wall right here. It's pretty easy. So yeah, that's the backward strat. skip the text boxes here, take the path that I took. If you can skip the slam there, it's pretty good. Alright, now we're going to use the box. If you didn't get the box before, I'll show a backup strat for that. Yeah, here I'm doing a safe strat. Instead of, like, you see some people go onto the barrels over here to save some time, but it doesn't really save that much time, and it's a lot more risk-free to just do the strat that I did. So, like, you can do whatever you prefer, but, yeah. Alright, so now, if you realize that you forgot the box, then you would warp to Dilemma and then just walk out here. And then I think you can cruise boost here. Yeah, so you would just do that and then walk over here. And that's the backup strat. Alternatively, if you've decided to not do Geode Clip, which is the strat where you go through Jellyfish Caves as SpongeBob, then at this point you would warp to Spelunking. And you would appear out here as Patrick, and you would walk through the caves as Patrick and get the sock casually. It's really, really slow, and I just recommend learning Geode Clip instead. But yeah, now that we should have all the socks and all the spatulas in Jellyfish Fields, so at this point, from here on out, we're not going to be leaving a segment without getting everything in the segment, so now warp to top of Shady Shoals, and we're going to go to Rock Bottom. That strat there with the trampoline saves 1 second. So if you don't do it, it's pretty easy, so I'd recommend doing it. Alright, so now here, so if you're familiar with Art Skip, Art Skip isn't really useful in this category because we're required to get all the artwork in 100%. Because the rules of 100% say that we have to get like all the menu collectibles here. So all the spatulas, all the socks, and all of the like level collectibles, so like the artwork for Rock Bottom, it would be the wheels in downtown and that sort of stuff. So you can't do art skip in this category. So yeah. So yeah, it's pretty standard Rock Bottom strats we're gonna be doing. Important thing to note here, turn your camera so you don't get grabbed by the hands and fall off the island here. Yeah, when you grab that spatula, if you get grabbed by the hand, you're going to be losing a decent chunk of time. That was fast. I'm surprised that's fast. So when you grab the spatula, zoom in your camera. That's my recommendation. So you get a really good angle once the spatula animation's over. So I'm going to be going over both Sandy Museum and SpongeBob Museum. For those interested in... Okay, that was bad move. So yeah, that's the backup strat if you get hit by that guy. So yeah, I'm gonna go over museum as both Sandy and SpongeBob for those interested in doing SpongeBob Museum. Alright, so no matter what console you're on, you want to get this sock immediately as Sandy. And just die here. On GameCube, the death should be instant, which is really weird, and I'm not sure why that happens. If you do Fast Cycle Museum, obviously you would have better movement than me, and you could skip that checkpoint. But if you don't do Fast Cycle, then I recommend just getting the checkpoint. So come over to the right to get this sock over here. And we're gonna hop over to this sledge over here. And this jump is gonna be pretty different if you've never done 100% before. So I recommend just waiting here. And as soon as it clips all the way back through, do a full double jump glide. Okay, I missed it. So if, again, like usual, if you fall down here, just grab the artwork that's on the ground before you die and go back up. So yeah, the kind of nasty thing about 100% is that if you're doing Sandy Museum, you don't get the checkpoint over by the Thunder Tikis. But I guess if you fall off, you could just go that way instead. But for the sake of showing the route, I'm going to go this way again. It's been a while since I've done Sandy Museum. Alright, I was too low again. There we go, I had to wait a little longer, I guess. Oh, I didn't go through. I'm not going through the wall, alright. Well, I'm dead. I don't understand. Like, this is working. Like, I tried this out before I started the tutorial. And it was fine, but yeah. Alright, so you probably get the basic idea by now. I'm just gonna go this way to speed it up. I probably could have just gone for it, but... Alright. So it took longer than I wanted it to, but whatever. And then obviously if you didn't get the artwork over there yet, you'd go get it. Alright, so now I'm going to go over SpongeBob Museum.
Well,
so if you're playing on GameCube or PS2, you still want to get the sock first. But on PS2, I don't think you die instantly from these lasers, so you just want to reload the level. On Xbox, as SpongeBob, it doesn't matter whether you get the sock first or whether you get it at the end of the museum. Alright, so getting up on these spokes over here, I find it pretty easy if you don't it turns counterclockwise, right? So like you wanna, I find it easier most of the time to go for the one that's like coming towards you instead of the one that's like going away from you, if that makes sense. So like, you see how like the 3 spokes of the node down there are, like you would want to aim more for the left side spokes if you can. Like you kind of have to react on the fly to which one you hit, but a lot of people have trouble doing that part, so thought I would just be finishing out. So that time, like, you have to be able to react to it. It's like a situational thing. Like based on how many cruise boosts you miss at the start. I should also mention, a lot of these RCBs that I'm doing aren't really necessary to do, but you can add them if you want to save a lot of time. They're more risky because they lose time if you miss them in specific ways, they lose a lot of time. So yeah, obviously you'd come over here, get the sock, and then you want to double jump, spin, slam onto this teeter-totter. Come down here and get the art. And then here, there's an easy strat and a hard strat to get up to the spatula. So the hard strat that's faster is just doing this and landing on the tires on the ground over there. And then once you're on the teeter-totter, there's also some other strats. But the easier strat is just come over here and bash to get up. And then you can either bring the teeter-totter down this way, so you can do this. Okay, I messed it up, but... So that's one way of doing it. And the other way of doing it is like this. And then, so you want to get the spatula first. If you're getting the artwork on the ground as SpongeBob first, then you want to get the spatula right after. And then the spatula animation would put you like right here-ish. So turn the camera as an easier strat. Like you can do this jump without turning the camera, but it's a lot harder. And if you fall off, you're losing a lot of time, so. I like to turn the camera and just jump up here, bash, slam, get the sock, go over here, get the artwork. Also, one thing that makes this jump a bit easier, I find, is that... Okay, here's not a good place to show it, but... If you hold the jump button while you're slamming, then, here, maybe this is a better way to... Here, let me make the jump like this so you can see the controller. If you hold the jump button down when you slam on something that pops you up, then you get more height when you pop up. So like, the object would be here, and like SpongeBob normally without doing that would pop up to like here-ish. But if you hold A, he goes up to like there-ish. Just to give you like a visual guide, I guess. But yeah, that makes that part a little bit easier, I find. So yeah. Once you've gotten everything in the museum, warp to slip sliding away. So now for this next part, Sleepy Skip is optimal, but if you don't want to do Sleepy Skip, I'll show a different strat at the end of Trench. Come down here, you can get a cruise boost on this little invisible ledge right here. There's not really a good backup place to do it other than that. Alright, be careful of these tartar guys. I usually hit this one to get him out of the way. Oh, I didn't split. Alright, but yeah. You want to hit the first button and then come over and get the art. Be careful of the guy shooting you. Don't do that. Be careful here more than anything. Also, slam back to that trampoline if you need to, but slam next to the trampoline so you get your jump back. Alright, so here, there's two different ways of doing this. You can either approach the duplicator like I'm doing and just hit it like from the front, or you can like go around this way and hit the duplicator from the back, and this way is faster. Like hitting it from the back side is faster, but the thing you need to keep in mind is that this cutscene is kind of weird, and if you've gotten grabbed by the hand in the trench at all on this run, like on this specific run, if you got like grabbed by the hand in the trench when you fell off, like if you did fall off, then this cutscene would be longer, and doing the duplicator from this side would just kill you. So don't do that if that happens. So I like to just hit it from the front because it doesn't lose that much time, and it's a lot safer in my opinion. Because the advantage of hitting the duplicator from the back is that like you move during the cutscene if you do that. Because like you slide off the laser and just go this way. But the problem is that if the cutscene gets extended because you got grabbed early in this section, then you're just gonna fall off the cliff and die again. Like, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it if you set up the duplicator button like that. So I'd advise, like, just keep that in mind depending on what strat you do. So come back over here. This time you can slam on the trampoline. And now we're gonna go over here and hit the last laser. And the point of having the hand enabled is right here. You're gonna hit that button and get grabbed by the hand. And we're saving like 30 seconds skipping that cutscene. Now for here, there's a sock over there that you have to pay that clam for. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people go over there as SpongeBob right after they come back from the lasers. I'm not entirely sure which way is faster, but I'm assuming this way is, because a lot of people do it, including Shift, so. And depending on how quick you were with the lasers, that sock is going to be on a different WoW. Alright, that sock is going to be on a different cycle, so just keep that in mind. And then you have to switch to Sandy to get this spatula. Because Plankton won't give it to SpongeBob, we won't give it to Sandy. And now we're going to warp back to Puff and turn in the artwork. Alright, next up is Goo Lagoon 3. We should have 58 spatulas and 27 socks, which we do. So scroll up to Goo Lagoon. The order of the stuff you do here is kind of up to preference, but I'm just going to show the order that I do. Alright, I got a Cruise Boost first try, so I can show the kids' first route. So yeah, obviously if you don't do kids in like other categories you run, oh wow, I messed that up bad. Obviously if you don't do kids in categories that you normally run, you want to learn it for 100%. And the advantage of doing load cycle kids first, sorry if you can hear stuff in the background, the dryer's running in my house. So the advantage of doing load cycle kids first is that if you skip the checkpoint by the castle over there and you skip this checkpoint, you can drown into the spatula. And you appear back over at the moat. So now, I should mention, if you If you go for this cruise boost for kids, you can miss one cruise boost, and you'll, like, one input. Like, you can do this and then get it. Well, you can bowl and then get it, or you can cruise bubble and then get it, but you can miss one input, and you can still make a good cycle for kids. Like, you're gonna have to mess around with it. Like, this is just for load cycle. If you miss a cruise boost on death cycle, then you're pretty much just improvising at that point, depending on the RNG you get for the first kid. Which is why I like load cycle a lot more. It gives you a lot more freedom. But if you do load cycle, you can also pick the spot here that you cruise boost on, which I really like. So you can do it like here. You can also do it like kind of closer to this side. You can do it on this wall, and you can do it on the box. But the thing with doing load cycle kids first, you notice that I went on this umbrella at the start, and that's because the goal with drowning after the kid's spatula was that you appear like right back here. So it's just a little tiny optimization to skip the checkpoint wherever it is. Alright, it's right there, I guess. But if you got the checkpoint, you would be like back here instead. So you'd have to like walk up to go to shoot the button over here. So it's just a little tiny optimization you can do. So you want to get a cruise boost here. I would like to RCB this one, but you don't have to. Like, obviously, if you're not comfortable with some of the cruise boost spots I've been using, you can like find other spots to cruise boost that are better for you. Just don't do it over here. Like, this is a strat that was used in like 2017. Like, don't do it off that post. It's not, it doesn't save time even. It's not worth it. So yeah, bashing onto this box here is a little bit precise. But if you set it up the same way every time, you should get it. It's honestly not that bad, in my opinion. So I would just go for it. Worst case scenario is that you fall into the box, and yeah, so you would have to jump back in or reload the level. But jumping back in is faster. But yeah. Come up here and get the sock. The goal after getting the sock is that you want to skip the ledge grab with the jump we're about to do. So that was pretty good. You want to try as best as you can to skip the ledge grab. If you're never comfortable with skipping the ledge grab, you can just double jump slam instead. But with this strat in particular, slamming loses a decent chunk of time, so I don't know. Just do what you're comfortable with, pretty much. And if you remember earlier in the run, we got the socks on top of the sand castle, so we can go around the right side and save a second in movement. Alright, I kind of messed that up. Okay, I really messed that up, so if you do kids first, well actually, if you do load cycle kids at all, you can slam into the spatula, and the cruise boost will push you forward into the goo, and you'll skip the animation, which is pretty good. It saves a couple seconds, but it's not the most important thing in the world to do. But if you do moat after kids, get rid of your cruise boost before collecting the spatula, because drowning is going to lose a little bit more time if you don't do the animation skip. Alright, so after that, we have some socks to get in the sea caves and on the pier. So we're going to go do that. Come back here and cruise boost in this box. So yeah, that jump can be a little bit precise, but to be honest, it's not that bad. When you approach the ledge up here, try spamming A, because sometimes you just barely don't make it up on this ledge, but it gives you your jumps back, so you want to be prepared for that. So just spam A as you're approaching like this ledge here from that jump. And then from here, just jump, double jump, slam, And like I said in an earlier part, when a sock starts like gravitating towards you, like the game detects that you've gotten it. So like you can warp like even before it touches you. As long as it's like gravitating towards you, you're fine. So yeah, warp to tower bungee. Now we're gonna do fast whack. You can cruise boost right here. It's the fastest spot. If you're not a fan of that, you can come over here. That's a manual cruise boost, but you can do it there. You can also like come over to this side and do it as well if you want. So yeah, jump down here. I try to aim for like this section around here-ish to get the invisible checkpoint. So yeah. Now I'm going to show the easier strat. So as the tikis bob up and down, you want to wait for them to bob down before you bowl away the tikis. You also want to make sure you're far back enough on this tiki so that your bowl doesn't go over them as well. Alright, so in a situation like this, ideally I would have hit that last tiki, the fifth one right there, like the odd one out. But if you don't hit it, that's fine. There's like a faster way you can do this. So you want to like drop down and spin, and then jump up and hit that one. Ideally, you would only have 4 left there if you're doing the easier strat. But yeah. You can do this with okay, I don't know the cycles for doing this strat, but this is the strat that Shift does. You can do it that way if you prefer, but I advise against it because it doesn't really save that much time and it's a lot harder, so. Okay, so after we have everything to Goo Lagoon, warp back to come back with the cruise bubble. And now here, we're going to be jumping onto the window behind us to exit the sea needle. So now we're going to be jumping to the right into that little alcove you see over there, maybe? Can you see it? Yeah, I think you can. But you can do it without a cruise boost, but I like to get a small cruise boost before doing it. It just makes that jump way easier. So you can do it without, but I just recommend doing it. Unless you're really comfortable with doing it without. Because falling down there, like, you're gonna get grabbed by the hand and lose a bunch of times, so. This rock is kind of annoying, but it's the fastest place to cruise boost. If you can't do it on the rock, come back over here to this gate over here and just do it here. Yeah, pretty much just follow, don't ledge grab there. Just follow my movements, pretty much. Alright, so I did a kind of safe strat there. You can just double jump up here and grab this ledge. Or just skip the ledge grab entirely, but if you're not comfortable with it, you can just do what I did and bash slam. So get the sock, do not forget this wheel. Alright, so if that happens to you and you don't make that jump, just bash here, and then, alright, I kind of messed up the back up. I like to bash slam, but you don't necessarily have to. Alright, there's a couple ways you can back this up, so. Alright, that's like the worst thing that can happen. Alright, I'm not used to doing this back up. kind of want to adjust yourself here to get rid of your cruise boost, and then you can just kind of jump under and around. Because there's like an invisible wall kind of around here that's going to like wall you off if you don't like do the jump around that way. Grab this one from there. I'll also show you like an alternate strat, like a little backup strat. Okay, don't do that. Never destroy that cannon. But yeah, if the floating thunder tiki over here gets destroyed, like this is the backup strat you're gonna do. Like you can just jump across like that. Alright, I'm bad. So yeah, I showed a couple safe strats and backup strats there. But hopefully that part goes well. Alright, so now rooftops, there's a couple places you can cruise boost here. Like depending on what's comfortable for you. You can do it off of Larry right here. You can do it off of like this little pipe thing. I don't even know what this is. You can do it on this wall right here. It's another good spot. The spot I usually do is on this door right here. And I like to RCB it as well. Obviously you don't have to. It's also important to note, if you don't want to hit that button with a cruise boost, then you can just walk over the button and hit it, and then just cruise boost to like right here afterwards. If you're worried about like falling off or anything. Yeah. There's a lot to explain on rooftops as well. Alright, so since we have the hand enabled, make sure you stay like to the left when you're doing that jump. If you go farther to the right, you're going to get grabbed by the hand, so just don't do that. So now we have to jump over here, and we're taking a little detour because there's a wheel down here we need. Make sure you get the wheel. Alright. And then when you respawn, you can just turn around and cruise boost right here. If you don't do any like fancy stuff with the cruise boost here, then you're gonna miss that platform cycle over here. Or that can happen. Make sure you min-up the chuck. And that's usually what I do in my runs. It's cruise boost like that, but obviously that's a lot harder, so don't do that if you're not used to it. Now over here, on this fence right here, we're gonna jump on top of the second pole, like the one that I'm right in front of. We're gonna bash slam off of it to get to where we need to go. So if you miss that jump, it's not really worth it trying to set it up again. There's a backup strat you can do over here off one of these poles. And just kind of jump around in this pipe until you grab a ledge. And then you can just slide onto here, and that's fine. So yeah, there's two ways of getting up here, but that's the good backup strat that you want to use if you miss the first strat. This part can be a little precise. I like to kind of sit in this pipe for a hot second to set myself up. Avoid the chuck. And now double jump, spin, slam over here. Go around the left side of the lighthouse to get this sock. Going around the right side is slower. And get rid of your cruise boost here. And now we're going to do the disable. So after all that hard stuff, there's a one frame at the end of this segment. So like I say one frame, but like it's not really that hard. So the basic idea is we're going to jump like under the lighthouse. So like the trigger to enter the lighthouse like barely clips through the ground there. So you have like a frame to grab the text box there and enter the lighthouse. And the hand trigger is like down here. Like say the trampoline's like right here. But like the little pole of the trampoline still bounces you. So that's important to note. So we want to hit the trigger for the lighthouse by pressing R. And we want to fall down into the hand trigger here. But we need to avoid the pole that's going to bounce us back up. So we actually fall into the hand trigger. If that makes sense. So I like to kind of set it up being kind of close to the edge of the pole here. I can't really turn my camera up to show you, but if you just go farther, you're just going to fall and get grabbed by the hand. So try to find a good balance here when you're doing this trick where you can go forward enough to hit the trigger, but still like be on the bouncy part when you're trying to go for the frame. If you miss the frame, see, I like to just turn this trick into muscle memory. I like to like press R and immediately go back. I'm pressing L right now, but you get the idea. Alright, that time I got, okay. So that time I went for the trick. So now I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna show you that it worked. See the hands disabled right now when it was enabled earlier in the rooftops? So the way you can tell that it worked when you enter the lighthouse is you need to see the camera like jitter down, and then when the bubbles start appearing over the screen, it jitters back up. That's how I tell that I got it. There's another thing that can happen as well. If you don't go far enough forward when you hit the trigger, like that, you'll just bounce off the trampoline bar right there and just not enter the lighthouse. Let me see if I can show the other thing that can happen where you miss the trick, because if that happens, you won't disable the hand. Like that. If you get stuck up there at all, then you're not gonna get it. Which is part of the reason why it's a one frame trick. Like the part that you have to stand on to actually get the trick makes it like you only have one frame to hit that R button. But the thing about it is, it's not really as hard of a one frame as like one frame double jumps are. So I recommend just learning this trick, pretty much. And alright, that time it would have worked, but I already have the hand disabled, so couldn't really show that. So if you can't do this trick, I'll show a backup you can do after the lighthouse. But yeah, pretty much doing lighthouse. Alright. It's pretty easy stuff. Alright, now we should be done with downtown. 66 spatulas and 38 socks. Alright, so now at this point I'm going to show the backup strat if you don't want to do the lighthouse disable. So if you don't do lighthouse disable, you want to warp to on top of the pineapple and get a cruise boost, and we're going to do fast disable. Like that. So that's the strat. Okay, so if you're doing the disabled this way, you want to not come back for Squidward for the spatula and like the 3 socks that you get at the end of Jellyfish Fields. So like, if I can scroll up in the splits here. You want to like the Jellyfish Rock socks after you defeat King Jellyfish. You want to like leave this for after downtown if you aren't doing the Lighthouse Disable. So you can do fast disable, and then you would appear here, and then you would, you know, get your cruise boost and get the spatula and do all that. So yeah, that's the backup strat if you don't do Lighthouse Disable. Also, another thing I should have mentioned. So in the lighthouse, if you enter the lighthouse, but you know you missed the disable, just press B and go for it again. Like, it's faster to do this than to just continue on and do the backup disable or anything like that. Like that. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about like the hand strats in this category. I really recommend doing hand strats because it saves a ton of time in rock bottom having the hand enabled, and it also is a pretty good strat to have in Jellyfish Fields as well, because geode clip is a pretty easy trick to mess up if you're having an off day or something with it. And if you get like stuck in the wall in geode clip, like you're here and you can't like clip through, you just get stuck, the hand will grab you if the hand's enabled. So that's why we do Jellyfish Fields after Downtown 1. Right here. That's part of the reason why we don't just go to Jellyfish Fields immediately or save it for later or anything. It's because geode clip is kind of an easy trick to mess up if you're not on top of things. And yeah, having the hand enabled is a pretty good backup, so you don't just have to reload back to Dilemma and lose like 2 minutes. So yeah, pretty important thing to keep in mind. And we do Goo Lagoon in here just because it's the most convenient place for menuing to do Goo Lagoon. So yeah, it doesn't really matter that you have the hand enabled for Goo Lagoon 3, but yeah, for menuing's sake, we do it there. So now that's going to be it for part 3 of the tutorial. So yeah, after this we're going to be doing the rest of the run. We're going to be finishing up the backtracking, and we're going to be doing Kelp Forest and Graveyard as well. So yeah, the link to my spreadsheet of routes for 100% is going to be in the description. And as always, if you have questions about anything in the route, or just questions about this game in general, like anything like tricks, routing, message me on Discord or post in the battle Discord, and somebody else can help. But yeah, that's it for part 3.